No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
And welcome into the newest edition of the Friday lineup here, which has been hit and miss lately because of the holidays and everything else. But you are listening to the Weekend News Roundup live right here on KLRNradio.com, as well as Digital Beacon US News. I am joined by some of my usual cohorts, and I'm doing the world a favor today, and I have the graphic over my face today, doing the world a favor. Anyway, so we're here, we're live. I am joined, as usual, by Brad Slager from Town Hall, from Red State, and right here on KLRN Radio. Also joined by Amy Curtis of Town Hall, who is still killing it over there. Every time I do a show, like at least 2 of your articles make my show. And then we have BZ from SHR Media, who is joining us incognito today.
Hey, I tried to turn on my camera. Why can't I?
If you have the ability to do so, you might actually have to unplug it and plug it back in. Because you use different software. It does it to me all the time when I go over from Restream to StreamYard. I always have to. But anyway, all right. So we are here. We are live. We have folks starting to pop into the chat. So I'm going to start going around the room first. Since Brad is my usual cohort, we'll start with him because he gets huffy if he doesn't get first billing. How you doing, Brad? How's things?
Oh, we're good. We're good. It's been hectic and wild holiday season for us all here between family and everything else, work, end of the year crap that I had to pump out, and then finally get a chance to relax. And then look at that, University of Miami is going to the college football final, so good news all around. I gotta say, we're happy over here.
So how many cars did you turn over last night? Just curious.
Didn't turn any over yet. We basically plotted where they're at, though. You know, we've got an app now so that if we win the championship, there we go. Kerosene and torches come with us, and then we'll celebrate proper.
Well, make sure you stop by Orty's Pitchfork and Torch Emporium. You know, give the man some business. All right. Anyway, all right. So Miss Amy, how's things with you? How's things?
Hi, and Happy New Year, everybody. Things are going really well. I have to admit, not only is Town Hall rocking and I'm having so much fun, it is just that 2026 has been off to an insane start in good and bad ways. I know we were talking in the group chat about all the things we need to cover today, and I wrote down a list, and every 2 minutes I add another thing to it because the news just keeps coming, and I love it.
Yeah, well, it was kind of funny because Amish and I were actually, and I blame us for this because we have a bad habit of jinxing ourselves. Because after the election last year, everybody was like, "Well, come January, things will start slowing down," because they normally do. And then from January to October, it was just nonstop. And then Octoberish, things started dying down, and Amish and I made the mistake of complaining about that during one of the Rick and Morty episodes. And since then, it's just been, never mind. I'm going to shut up now. I'm never going to say this again.
Yeah.
Because I had been really unplugged over the last, especially because I tried to get back into the swing of things before the holidays. But with my brother passing away, it's just been kind of hard to get motivated again and helping my dad with a bunch of crap and everything else. So I wound up after Christmas, I just kind of unplugged again. So I came up for air. The Saturday morning was when I first really poked my head back on social media again to find out that brass balls sitting in the White House just went and nabbed a dictator. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And the left's hairs have been on fire ever since. So.
2026
like an
is
eviction notice being served overseas. You gotta love when that kind of thing happens. And the way they're spinning it just has to crack me up because we've got every Democrat known to man opposing this, and almost every single one of them 3 years ago was calling for Maduro to be removed.
Yeah, anywhere from the last 3 to 5 years. All right, so before we get into that, though, let's introduce the last panelist to join us today, who is apparently not going to work. He's just going to hang out with us, but he's here, and that's awesome because the last couple of times I've tried to spin this thing back up, he's like, "I'm going to be there, and then
I wanted to be there, and now, of course, the camera doesn't work. But in consideration, retrospect, perhaps it's best that I not be seen.
Yeah, this is why the USB for my camera is on the front of my computer, because since I have to switch softwares all the time, I'm just always like ba-ding, ba-ding, and then it starts working again. But anyway, but yeah, so no shortage of things to talk about. Where do we want to start first? The Maduro napping or the leftists losing their mind over a commie hero who almost took out an ICE agent who's going to be enshrined apparently?
Yes, I'd say let's start with Minneapolis because I don't know if you all saw the latest angle of the video, which is the cell phone camera video from the agent that she hit.
Baby.
And did you see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if you'll give me a second, I actually have it right here somewhere. I just got to find it.
Yeah, isn't it his body cam?
I thought it was his phone camera, but it's from his perspective.
Yeah, he was holding his own cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I somebody said body cam footage, so I didn't really know. But
yeah,
no, we're not wearing body cams.
Okay.
Well, it's the equivalent because you see him right there at the hood.
Yeah, it's video.
You hear the impact.
Well, and you not only that, you hear her wife telling her, "Drive, baby, drive." You see her face. That is not the face of a woman who looks scared. I have been scared in my life. I don't look like that. I know what I look like when I'm scared, and it's not that. She knew what she was doing. She was there to agitate and resist ICE, and it ended up getting her killed.
Bingo and bingo.
Well, you see, too, about 30 seconds or so before that, you see the wife with her camera in the face of the agent and just taunting him incessantly and vulgarly. And it's just, these are not innocent homebody moms going to the book club and getting killed.
No, they're not.
What happened is the one wife used the wife in the car as bait for virtue signaling video, period. She got what she wanted.
Yes, they were going to post this on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, whatever, to show how they were standing up to ICE, and now Renee Good is dead. And she's the one who made the decision to do that, but she was, and we see it in the reaction from Tim Walz, from Jacob Frey, from even the shooting in Portland. Every single Democrat has lined up and said, ICE is the problem, resist Trump. The Democrats are the ones that are getting their people hurt and killed, just like this in Minneapolis. Are you going to play that video, Rick?
The living wife admitted yesterday she killed her wife.
Looking on it, my system is being debugged. Yeah, sorry. For some reason, Restream is really buggy right now, so I'm trying to hit please speak. So 1 second.
All right. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. She said it's my fault. It's my fault. There we go.
See the dude get basically nearly run over by the car.
Yeah, he was in front.
We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking president. You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead. Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
Now, just to put this into perspective, as I take this off the screen again, let's into perspective. This is the guy that was just drugged like 100 years, like in July, in a similar incident. Just pointing that.
Yeah, you hear too those shots come in like quick succession. It wasn't, bang and then reposition and bang. He let 3 go instantly. The first one went through the windshield, and then the other 2 as she's driving by. So it's not as if everybody's got this Zapruder analysis going on. It's like he's clearly next to her when he opened fire. And no, he let 3 rounds go inside of a second and started when he was in the front. He got hit, fire started. I mean, that's just the way it worked. For them to say anything else is desperation.
Well, they're going to. I remember back after George Floyd when they demanded police body cam so they could see how awful police were. And when we got reams of footage of the attacks on police, their attitude toward body cams changed. This video won't change the mind of the Democrats. They will still demonize ICE. They will still say ICE is the bad guy here. But the couple of things that stand out in that video, and I touched upon earlier, this woman is clearly not afraid. Neither is her wife. They're both taunting the agents. It also dispels the notion, A, that she was a legal observer, which isn't even a thing to begin with. B, that she didn't know that these were cops, because I saw a lot of people saying she had no idea who this masked man was that came up to her car. They were clearly identified. The cars had lights. The sirens were blaring. She knew what they were and what they were doing. But the thing that really stands out in that video is how quick it happens. It is less than a second from her hitting that gas to him firing those shots to her hitting that tree. It happens that quickly. And all these people who want to armchair quarterback and say he should have shot the tires, he should have jumped out of the way, he should have done a slew of other things except shoot her, don't get it. Don't get it. And like I said, it's awful that she died, but it is, like the vice president said, it is a tragedy of her own making. She chose to be there. She chose to hit that gas pedal. Her wife told her to drive, baby, drive. This is not on ICE. And moreover, if the Democrats had stopped calling them the Gestapo, telling them to get out of their effing city, saying they're going to unmask and prosecute them. Yes, exactly. That I listened to that.
That was for Sean too.
Oh,
but it was fitting.
Oh, I see his comment. He deserved it. Absolutely. Flip away. Stop demonizing ICE. They are enforcing duly enacted federal immigration law, and we wouldn't be in this mess if Democrats and some Republicans, I won't pretend the Republicans have anything to do with it, ignored immigration law for as long as they had. They have created this overwhelming mess that now Trump was elected to clean up, and they don't like the fact that cleaning it up is awful. It's like when you go to the house of a hoarder and you have to dump everything in a dumpster. You let it get out of control, so the cleanup is going to suck. But that is why we elected Donald Trump. He is doing what needs to be done, because this, not only is this immigration thing insane, now we're seeing the fruits of it, not just in this shooting, but in the massive fraud in Minneapolis. And I wrote a piece for Town Hall this week. A woman, and I'm going to blank on her name, so let me pull it up. I believe her name is Jill Larson. runs an autism center that she started in 2004 for her 3-year-old son. She now has 5 locations, 120 staff, world-class autism care, and a $250,000 biweekly payroll. Because of this fraud, that gets closed. And that's all tied back into this immigration. It has created such a mess in this country that it will take years to clean it up. And the Democrats just keep siding with the bad guys. And it's absolutely maddening.
Well, I mean, the bad guys are pretty much all they have to side with. I mean, I said this on one of the first shows back after the Maduro thing. It's funny because after all the leftists screaming and yelling about no kings, apparently it was because they had a man crush on Maduro and they'd rather have a dictator. Because they really seem to love that guy, but they don't want kings. I don't get it.
Well, they don't want kings that aren't on their side. They want kings that are on their side. And we've seen it. Mehdi Hassan and a couple other Democrats have been very clear. When Democrats come back into power, whether it's 2029 or 2033, whatever, they want someone who's going to weaponize the government, prosecute the Trump administration, do all these things they say Trump is a dictator for. But because it's their side doing it, it's suddenly good and noble.
Well, yeah, Ken Jennings put out on X the other day that he's going to vote for whoever's going to prosecute this entire administration. I'm like,
and all the
much jeopardy anymore, asshole.
Well, yeah, I miss Alex Trebek tremendously because Ken Jennings is a twerp. But all that does is guarantee that as Trump is walking out the door, he is going to sign blanket pardons for everyone. In fact, if we play our cards right, we may all be able to get pardons from him too, because he's not going to leave office and let the next Democrat, especially if a Democrat wins in November, he will have all that time to know exactly what they're going to do. He's not going to leave office and let the next administration throw ICE members in prison, throw members of the conservative media in prison, throw members of the Republican, congressional delegation in prison. He's not going to do that. He is going to issue so many pardons, it'll make Biden's last couple of days look like the amateur hour.
Well, the Democrats continue to fail to recognize that once they open a particular door, all sorts of people are going to walk through that door. And up until this point, when Trump came through as 47, a bit towards 45, the only person willing to walk through the open door was Trump. Now, there have been a lot of things that I disagreed with him about, but he's playing tactics that historically they've played for quite some time.
Yeah. And as always, they want to enforce the rules against other people. They do not like it when the rules are enforced against them. And as somebody I love likes to say, the other side gets to move and shoot too. And the Democrats seem to forget that. And they're so...
Well, look at just how they approach this when it comes to lawfare. They're calling for lawfare to take place while screaming about it. And they always complain about Trump going into the courts for retribution without acknowledging that retribution means something had to precede it. Their lawfare under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
this guy was indicted 4 different times by that DOJ, and yet they don't want to acknowledge that while they're complaining about.
Right. No one is above the law until it's a mom trying to obstruct ICE in Minneapolis. Then she's the saint.
Because the hypocrisy is legion on every level.
Pretty much. My favorite thing has been watching the reaction from 4 months ago when Charlie Kirk was assassinated versus this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that was like, oh, yeah, he deserved it is now like, oh, my God, she's just a mom. I'm like, yeah, he was just a dad. So pick a lane.
Well, did you see the clip on Abby Phillip 2 nights ago?
Oh, about
one of her Democrats on the panel said that Ashley Babbitt deserved to die because she wasn't listening to authorities giving her.
Yeah, Ashley Babbitt was unarmed.
And then the exact same thing takes place in the streets.
Less than 24 hours later,
and they completely changed their tune.
The tune is different now. Yeah. But no, it's all of this is insane. So, BZ, I have a question for you before I go into an angle of this. Have you ever been in any type of similar situation where you found yourself between, the street and a speeding car while in uniform?
No, not specifically.
Because I have, which is why
I have not. Just about everything else. Shot at 4 times, return fire once, dead guy. I've seen a lot of stuff, but that is not one.
Yeah, so oddly enough, this happened when I was working private security. So I'm working a set of clubs, and all of a sudden these clubs are like 4 or 5 all attached together. Well, there was a parking lot that it was attached to the club that was behind the one in the front, and it was a gravel lot. Somebody got pissed off at somebody and started just speeding through the damn parking lot, throwing gravel everywhere. And this is during the main club's closing and the after hours club starting to spin up. So they are hurtling towards about 50 or 60 18 to 21-year-old kids all trying to get into this club. So I see what's going on and I jump out in front of the car. And I'm telling you right now, for everybody on TV and all the news stories that say in that instance, everything seems like it slows down. It seems like no, it does not. It does not. I honestly barely remember what happened. I remember, and I was in full uniform. I jumped out in front of the car, drew my weapon in about a split second and said, if you don't stop, I'm going to shoot. Lucky for me, they stopped. Otherwise, either I or they may not be here today. But having been in that type of situation and understanding why officers are willing to take that kind of risk, because, I may not have been in an actual uniform that matters to a lot of people anymore, but once you take that kind of oath, you can't really turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing you fail to anticipate, because there is a failure of true sight, because all of these people up to this point haven't thought in that situation. I'm sure those officers surrounding the car were thinking, hoping / that, okay, she'll see the light. She'll do as we ask because we've watched her all damn day. She's followed us all damn day. And what the officer, I'm sure, was doing is saying, get out of the car. Give me your keys. Get out. And they thought, okay, there's a really good chance that she's going to cooperate, which, of course, she didn't. It's like, my sympathy for the dead woman is akin to leftists for Ashley Babbitt. Pretty much none, except here's the deal that leftists, you guys acknowledge, but leftists refuse to. Babbitt was unarmed, just as Amy said. And the woman behind the wheel was armed with 4,300 pounds of Honda Pilot deadly force. I checked how much a Honda Pilot weighs. Slightly over 2 tons.
4,300 pounds of lethality. Now, I also want to point something out because you don't see this one that much anymore, but there was an interesting take in the beginning of all of this where you could see that she had already started trying to take off while they're telling her to start the car or to stop the car and to turn it off. But the only reason that it took an extra half second was because she hit the gas pedal so hard that the drivetrain wheel broke traction.
Mm-hmm.
If that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been a glancing blow for the officer. She would have hit him head on.
Yes, she would have. And I think part of it was because the roads, it's cold in Minneapolis and the roads are slick, but she floored it. She absolutely floored it and didn't care who was in her way. And everybody said, well, she didn't mean to hit him. She was trying to flee. I don't care. The law doesn't care. She was trying to evade police using a deadly weapon. Deadly force was absolutely justified and warranted in this situation.
And two things I want to point out for the armchair lawyers and armchair popos that I'm sure are probably going to be coming to me later after the show. I know DOJ manual says not to do that. Newsflash, ICE isn't under DOJ purview. Also, it says should. Should is permissive language. The law is completely different. The law says if an officer feels like they are in danger or they are trying to protect the life of someone else, they are willing and able to use all available force to stop said person. As soon as she gunned the motor, and you have to know, we can't really hear it very well because we're all seeing it from camera. That dude knew as soon as she gunned it because that motor would have sounded loud as hell to the guy that was off to the side in the front of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, so he knew. And I actually showed.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually found a piece today where they had slowed it down. So I was able, because the other thing was everybody's like, oh my God, he had his gun drawn before he ever went up there. No, he didn't. In the slow motion footage, you can see that he actually didn't even start unholstering until she gunned the motor.
Mm-hmm.
That's the caveat the leftists are purposely ignoring. There's an exception in there for most every guideline, rule, general order, whatever it is. The exception is in there, clearly delineated. And there's already federal case law on this. Tussis versus Billiot in 2023, almost an exact replica of this, where qualified immunity for fatal shooting was given to the officer using or firing against a vehicle being used as a weapon. I would tell my trainees, for God's sakes, if somebody is firing a gun at you, perhaps in some cases, even a long gun, you're in possession, if you're driving, of the finest utilization of deadly force that you can do. And if you need to put it in D for drive, apply throttle, and directly strike the offender, then best yet to have that car, that guy between the vehicle and a backing object. That's even better and more final potentially, because it's deadly force versus deadly force.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But like we said, it's not going to change minds. And somebody
Nope.
who's listening sent me Kathy Young, who has been on the anti-ICE tirade, saw this video and said, there's nothing to suggest in this video that he was hit, although it's still possible he was bumped. The tone in which he says fucking bitch, pardon my language, which he says in the video, you can hear him say that, suggests anger far more than fear. Tell me you've never been in a situation where you are scared, because sometimes fear sounds a lot like anger, because I've been there. And she's seen clips of LEO shootings before. Typical reaction is shock, distress. This guy sounds angry. Again, like I'm getting flashbacks to the Erica Kirk isn't mourning properly thing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Though, yeah, as somebody who's been through a lot of mourning, and, you know, like, to tell somebody what is and isn't proper mourning is the most insulting thing you can do. But anger and fear are two very closely related emotions. And when you are scared, you can get angry because it's a flight or fight response in your body. And the times in my life that I have gotten genuinely scared, I get angry. I sound angry because I'm scared. And then afterwards, you can hear the fear. But this notion, like, it's not going to convince the people who want to condemn ICE.
Correct.
And we're not out there to change their minds, because they're a lost cause. We're out there to get the vast majority of Americans who may not be as aware of saying, look, the evidence is there that this was a justified shooting. ICE is not the bad guy here. And these people are nuts for saying that they are.
I mean, well, the thing that pisses me off, right, is because there was a liberal guy that put out a TikTok video that was on the side of ICE until he caught flack for being on the side of ICE. So he put out a retraction video the next day and says, you know, I was really critical of her and not very critical of him. And you can see where he placed himself in front of the vehicle. I'm like, no, at the time where she was trying to leave, he wasn't anywhere near the front of the vehicle at that point, because he moved out of the way when he heard the engine gun the first time. And then basically when she got the wheels unstuck, she started turning towards him again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I speak leftist, so I'll translate. What that meant is firing at that offender was not justified unless the agent was killed.
Well, and I don't even think they would have justified it if he had been killed.
Oh yeah.
I here in Wisconsin, November 2022, Darrell Brooks plowed his car through the Waukesha County Christmas parade. Cops fired at him. They unfortunately missed. I guarantee you that if they had struck and hit him, that would have been the next Black Lives Matter George Floyd cause du jour. Instead, the cops missed, and I get it. It's hard to shoot at a moving vehicle, and 6 people were killed. So you can't tell me that a car, an SUV, which is what he was driving, isn't a deadly weapon.
Yeah. So, interesting side note. You remember one of the last times anything like this popped off, and it was somebody of color, and everybody was like, say his name, say her name. Guess what? The leftists started trying to do that with this one, and they were told to shut it down because white chicks don't count.
That doesn't surprise me at all. At all. I saw a video earlier. I like the pathology of, and I say this as a white woman, but not a liberal. These women are crazy. There's no other word to describe it, but
yes,
they're crazy. This woman went to the site where Renee Good was shot and said, I don't know if I should be here because they don't need white tears right now. What does that even mean? What are white tears? You can't whatever you personally feel about, Renee Good. Some people feel like it's sad. I think it's tragic. Like I said earlier, it's a tragedy of her own making. I wouldn't cry, but this notion that I can't cry and feel sad about something because I'm a white woman. I say this only half tongue in cheek. Seriously, take away our right to vote, because if these are the women that are voting, I will gladly sacrifice my right to vote to save this country, because they're nuts. I don't know if it's toxic empathy. I don't know if it's birth control pills. I don't know what it is exactly that has made these women go so insane. But 9 times out of 10, when something goes like this, it's white women.
But
well,
this
the Minneapolis
is right here. You're looking at the left eating itself because they can't adhere to their own standards with consistency. And so you've got these white women on the streets that are posing as allies, if you want, opposing ICE because they're on the side of the minorities that are being deported. And then when they get out there and have this happen, they're not allowed martyrdom because they're white. And we don't want you out here fighting our fight. This is our fight, not a white person's. You're not our white knight, white savior. And it's so they're sacrificing themselves with zero reward.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? Why are you proselytizing their cause? Why are you just sitting there denigrating yourself on behalf of them with no upshot? There's no benefit to it. You just get demonized and victimized in some other fashion that you're not allowed to celebrate.
Right. And this predates Trump and will unfortunately outlast his presidency. But a lot of what we see right now is reflexive to Trump. And I've said this repeatedly on social media and elsewhere. Trump could come out tomorrow and say, we found a cure for cancer. And they would not only go to court to stop the treatment, they would start, standing in front of microwaves to give themselves cancer just to stick it to Trump. It is a pathology with these people. And I don't understand it because there have been presidents I don't like. I didn't like Obama. I didn't like Biden. Hating them did not become my entire life's focus. I did not let them live rent-free in my head. And we're going on a decade now of the left doing just that with a guy they hate and don't want to have anything to do with. But he's the subject of every noun, verb, and adjective of every sentence that comes out of their mouth.
Well, we saw this on January 5th. It cracked me up when there was one, I forget who the journalist was, but the White House put out some of their narrative, fighting against the talking points. And the guy said, Donald Trump is just obsessed with January 6th. And then I go through this guy's timeline, and he had 8 or more posts that day all about January 6th.
Of course. 9. A lot of it is also massive amounts of projection, like Psych 101, basic projection. Conservatives are racist. They say the most racist things in the world. Minorities can't get ahead. They can't get IDs unless the Democrats help them. Republicans are sexist. Look at how they treat women, especially with the trans issue. Men make better women than you do. Shut up, you birth giver, inseminated person, whatever euphemism we've come up with for you today. We believe in the rule of law until a woman doesn't follow the rule of law and gets shot for it. Then we don't. There was a video going around, Breitbart had it. January 6th cop Michael Fanone says it's time to shoot ICE agents. Suddenly the left has a newfound love for the Second Amendment after telling me repeatedly I need to give up my guns because some wacko shot up a school. It is hypocrisy, but they don't see it as hypocrisy. For them, it's about the agenda. And if they have to say X today and Y tomorrow to advance their agenda, they're going to do it.
Let me ask you guys a question, if I can.
Mm-hmm.
The Minneapolis Whitey's Walkathon yesterday or the day before didn't explode like I think a lot of people were thinking or hoping. I don't see it really going much of anywhere. But the people on the left, and this is the question for you guys, are they happy that it didn't explode because it did involve a white woman, or are they really disappointed that this stuff didn't go national?
I think they're literally the meme of the guy trying to press the button. And I think if you went out and asked 100 leftists what they think, it would be split 50-50, because I really think some of them, she's a white woman, she doesn't deserve the outrage, but other ones, ICE, ICE is the Gestapo, ICE is the reiteration of the Nazis, we need to stop. I think you would get an actual 50-50. But I think part of why it didn't take off, honestly, is because it's freaking cold in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And that's it sounds so stupid and simple, but
it is.
But a couple weeks ago, I stood outside in line to meet Hugh Jackman here in Milwaukee. He was here for a movie tour, and it was 19 degrees. And I will tell you that by the time I got in there to see him, I was so pale, I looked like a sick Victorian child. It's cold. And it's
like the analogy.
I will send you a picture in the group chat so you can see how bad it was. But I think it's just, they are so privileged and coddled and spoiled that the thought of standing outside in the cold to advance their cause is just like if it was June, the entire country would be burning. Minneapolis, what's left of Minneapolis would burn. But I think ultimately it comes down to it's just frickin' cold in Minneapolis.
Well, they want the conflict. I can assure you that. I saw one protest yesterday or today covered by MSNBC, and there were a few people out there. And I'm throwing this in my media column at Town Hall today. Their guy on the street was during the Katie Tour program. Their guy was on the street talking to an individual. He's a black guy, not that that matters, but he's wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt at an anti-ICE rally, complaining about Trump and the administration. And while he's delivering all of this narrative, they put up on the Chiron, Trump supporter.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I mean, they want conflict in any capacity. So if it's not there, oh, look, even the Trump people disagree with him. Yeah, sure he is.
Yeah, sure they do.
Right.
All of this is just insane to me. I mean, and you know, for about the last year, I've come around to Jesse Kelly's idea of an amicable divorce because I thought he was crazy at first when he started talking about it. But with the fact that we can be looking at the same video footage at the same time and have a completely different take on what happened and why it happened based on political ideology is something that up until now has kind of been unheard of. I'm used to differences of opinion with people. That's been a thing for a long time. But having completely different views of reality is kind of new. I don't really know how we recover from that.
Well, you don't. I've been saying, and a lot of people with kids and whatnot are saying, you shh, quiet, you don't. How do you push that cream back in the tube or the genie back in the bottle? Okay, I will say there's no civil war coming if you can convince me that somehow we can mediate all of this and love each other with bipartisanship and compromise. At this point, I don't see that happening.
No.
So the BZ logical extension is this will not stop. It will only go further and get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, the only way it stops short of a national divorce is for somebody to actually drop the hammer. And I'm talking, invoke the Insurrection Act, martial law in these cities, start bringing in the National Guard. The second you start slapping handcuffs on these people and treating them the way they treated January 6th defendants, that's when this stops. You have to completely crush this and get them back in line. But we haven't. That which is rewarded gets repeated. And for many, many years, Democrats on the left have operated with next to no consequences for their actions.
Well, law enforcement itself is corrupted now at this
true.
point. Waltz has called essentially for the National Guard to step in. Then there was a Philadelphia sheriff, Rochelle Bilal, called ICE agents fake law enforcement and says she's going to go and arrest them for enforcing federal immigration law. Not going to happen. Plus, Newsom also said the same thing. They come in here, I'm going to start making arrests. The ability of law enforcement, except, well, out of leftist urban rat cages, law enforcement they're good people, but in lurks, they've been corrupted. And that's intentional, and that's with purpose. So until you bring everyone back into that fold, there are going to be big problems. I spent 41 years in law enforcement. I can't tell you how sick and disgusted I am at the great amount of one-time law enforcement officials having probity, which they lack completely now. But it's very, very regionalized. You know, in Washington, for example, Washington State wants to remove the sheriff. In terms of the sheriff being elected, they all want to be appointed now. Washington has a bill to appoint sheriffs from a board in the state of Washington, that you appoint chiefs, leftist mayors get leftist chiefs. And now in Washington, if the bill goes through, leftists will get appropriate leftist sheriffs, plus the caveat of they reserve the right to remove the sheriff if he or she is not in keeping with Gaia's great plan.
What could possibly go wrong? But remember, President Trump is an existential threat to democracy, but we're going to take away your right to vote for your elected representatives. Okay, square that circle for me, guys.
Well, I saw there was a editorial in the New York Times last year. In order to preserve democracy, we have to pack the court, get rid of the Electoral College, and suspend the Senate.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
I mean, this is where they're at. But the reactions we're seeing right now are the problem, because, and I'm not ennobling myself here in any way, but whenever major stories like this break, such as accusing somebody of murder or accusing somebody of being a pedophile, I kind of require some hard evidence before I'm going to step there. So when this shooting story broke yesterday, I thought, okay, this sounds horrible. This isn't good at all. This is a very bad situation. I was kind of leaning towards ICE being responsible for something. Then as more facts came in, more details came out, it's like, okay, then this is an agitator. She brought this on. Then we see him get hit. Okay, facts came in. Now we can make an assessment of things. But they're just leaping with murder out of the gate. And now they're leaving with Christine Noem needs to be impeached and Donald Trump is responsible. And they're just escalating to the highest order without the first shred of evidence. And that's the problem that we're dealing with in this country.
Right, because the agenda is what's important, not the facts, not reality, the agenda. And if they have to say, you know, she was handing out food to homeless kids when the ICE agent shot her, despite the video evidence, they're going to.
But the hypocrisy is massive. And I want to ask you guys this question too. Yesterday, so two people in Portland, in Oregon, leftist central, I think there were Border Patrol agents or something like that. They weren't ICE. So they shot at two gangbangers in Portland who tried to run over the agents, not ICE. And I don't see the protests or the umbrage for that. Why?
Well,
because they're not a poet. They were Trende.
Well, I think that's part of it. But I did see both Tina Kotek, excuse me. That name always sounds like a feminine product. I can't stand it. And then the mayor of Portland, whose name is Keith Wilson. Both of them came out and said basically the same thing Jacob Frey said. We want ICE out of our city. We want, immigration out of our city. Leave us alone. You're the ones causing the problem here. These are violent gang members who, again, were trying. ICE, Border Patrol, federal, more than 100 car ramming attempts in the past year. And ICE you're going to tell me ICE is the problem? These people are insane. And I don't think they see it as hypocrisy. We do, because we're sane, rational people who try to have moral standards. They see it as, this is what I need to say to advance my agenda. And like I said, if I have to say one thing today and then a complete opposite tomorrow, all that matters is my agenda.
Well, look what's going on in Denver for the last year or two, because and it's supported by both the Democrat Party and the media, where they had gang members taking over apartment complexes.
Oh, no, that's
illegal aliens, violent gang members. They were starting to evict them, and there were complaints about this.
Brad.
And Martha Raddatz came out on ABC News and said, well, it was only like 5 apartment buildings.
Right. Like there is a minimum number of apartment buildings that can be taken over by violent gang members, and it's acceptable. But
one apartment is too many.
Yes, exactly. But there's this mentality of, like, we see it all the time in the gun control debate. There's a shooting. We have to ban guns because it needs to save one life. Illegal immigrants, truck drivers kill people. Lack and Riley, Jocelyn Nungary, the list, Rachel Morin, the list of people who've been killed by not only illegal immigrants, but just regular criminals. In North Carolina, Irina Zarutska, I hope I pronounced that right and didn't butcher it. We can't arrest these criminals. We can't send them home. We can't put them in jail. That's racist, unfair, whatever. What happened to that if it saves one life mentality? Because I guarantee you, putting career criminals who've had dozens of arrests behind bars will stop them from being career criminals and hurting people. Taking my handgun away, which is sitting 12 feet to my left, isn't going to stop anybody from hurting anybody, because I'm not going to shoot them unless I have to. But like I said, there's no logical consistency with them, because the political agenda is all that matters. And if they have to lie, cheat, steal, whatever to get it done, that's what they're going to do.
Sorry, I just noticed that somebody put out the agent's address calling for justice, so I'm a little cranky.
And I'm sorry. Where is the FBI? Why are these people that are putting this stuff out not getting arrested for incitement to violence? Absolutely should be done. The second you make an example of one of these people, this stuff stops. And I don't understand why they won't do that.
Well, who doxes? Who swats?
The left,
Who calls for leftist? Historically, I was alive in the 60s. I can remember the Red Brigade. I can remember being a cop in the 70s. And before I got into my unit, I'd have to look under my car to make sure that what we call an IED today wasn't affixed to the bottom of my car or my wheel well. Who's violent?
Yep. But they'll say that we're the violent ones. They'll say that we're the ones who are causing problems. No, they absolutely are. And that's the entire movement to unmask these agents is rooted in the same thing. They want to dox them so they can attack their families and intimidate them into not doing their jobs. And it needs to be squashed. It's fine to get up there and speak, to the press and tell the press what you think of it and be right about it, like Vance did yesterday. He was brilliant yesterday, but that needs to be backed up with action and solid action, because somebody else is going to get killed, and it's going to be the spouse or the child of an ICE agent. And then, just like with Charlie Kirk, the left will celebrate. The left will cheer and say, you got what you deserved, because of the hatred and the rhetoric and the violence that they have been inciting for not even the past couple of months, for the better part of a decade against Trump and his supporters.
Well, then these agents need to be unmasked, so they can be more readily doxxed and swatted.
I love
and
that.
Have their children and families attacked.
Yep. And then they'll say, you deserve it because you're doing something we don't like. Just think about where we are as a country when that's like telling me you deserve to get raped because you shouldn't have worn that dress. Oh my God.
What's the Charlie Kirk argument? He got assassinated because of his comments.
Yep.
He was a hateful, vile human being and deserved what he got. But one of the things that I absolutely love about the hypocrisy on all this is the very thing of, these were the people when everybody used to blame the woman for how she was dressed, and we're like, how dare you do that? Now that it's basically the same thing in a different package, they're like, oh no, it makes sense now.
Yeah, right. Because it helps advance their political agenda.
In my defense, I did look good in the dress.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you were standing over that grate and it blew up. Just saying.
Hey, Marilyn. Right.
Thank God the camera's off.
But no, seriously. So Vance yesterday, I don't think I've ever seen him that visibly angry before. He was still very measured and very controlled, but you could tell that he was visibly angry, and
yes.
I don't blame him at all. And a lot of folks on the left are like, "Oh my God, you killed your presidency today." I'm like, dude, that just made me want to.
That's completely wish casting. I have a difference of opinion. I love Vance. I don't know if he should be the nominee in 28 yet. I think Rubio has done such a stellar job in the 8 jobs he's got in the administration, but
Rubio's got 25 jobs now. He's not going to be able to run for president.
That is also very true. You know,
he's going to be head coach of the Dolphins.
No, so he's going to come and quarterback for the Packers. We've already laid claim to him, so we can beat the Bears this weekend.
Are you a Packer backer?
I am a Packer backer. You can't tell from this accent that I'm from Wisconsin. We bleed green and gold.
I was going to say she basically opened the show yelling "Hello, Wisconsin," and somehow you missed it.
Yeah,
she's head from the 60s. Oh my God.
Yep, I come from a long line of Packer fans, but I have not been to a game at Lambeau. I've been to a game in Pittsburgh, but I have not been to a game at Lambeau, so I have failed my ancestors.
On an extradition, I went to Lambeau and stole grass.
I'm jealous. I haven't been to a game at Lambeau. I did a tour of Lambeau, and it's such a great stadium. Green Bay is such a fun city, but no, yeah, no, the Rubio thing, yeah, the Rubio memes are hysterical. I saw one of him dressed like Napoleon, and I just about lost it.
Well, considering BZ is a child of the 60s, I thought that might have been a euphemism for a minute, but then my brain caught up.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be here all night. Tip your waitress.
Try the veal.
But no, I mean,
try the liver.
No, please don't. You.
Yeah, liver's gross. Not gonna lie.
See, I don't mind chicken livers. I'm not a fan of beef liver though.
Yeah, the pate is okay, but like actual liver and onions, whoa! I'd rather suck on a penny, because it's just that metallic taste.
Or listen to Fran Drescher rubber nails across a chalkboard.
Oh, that actually makes my teeth hurt. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
see?
Why did you do that? Because ow.
See? Brainworm.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I don't want to be the next Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Anyway, so little quick hit on this, because I don't want it to take up too much time, but I thought it was kind of a cool thing that they came out and revamped the entire food pyramid and basically just turned it upside down. I also
Yeah.
want to know where the serving plate went, because remember under the Obama administration they got rid of the food pyramid and did it more of a plate shape. Now we're back to the food pyramid, but it's literally upside down.
Yeah. That is, speaking from my limited knowledge as a healthcare professional, that is the way carbs, especially like empty carbs, are just not, they lead to inflammation. They're not great for you. I'm not saying don't eat carbs, and this isn't medical advice for anybody, but a high protein diet for most people tends to be better. And for many, many years, it was load up on grains, load up on bread, load up on carbs, and don't eat a lot of meat. I will say, though, as a Wisconsinite, really appreciate his revised views on drinking and getting rid of the 2-drink limit for women. He did say don't have it for breakfast, which kind of throws a wrench into my mimosa plans, but
Kamala Harris just set her alarm for 1 p.m. from now on, so it won't.
I know. That was.
I don't listen to the media, or should say the government in general. I'm not going to take nutrition advice from them.
No, I
just on cause, but every 5 years, everything changes. Coffee's going to kill you. It's the best thing for your heart. Coffee's going to kill you.
Yep.
And then
eggs are bad. Eggs are good. Do what makes you happy, but it is nice to see something that aligns with what makes sense and scientifically makes sense. It almost gives me hope that the government can kind of get its act together on stuff like this.
Well, now there's this new study that completely floors me. And granted, you can't do it by smoking, and you can't really dip it, but apparently they have found that unaltered tobacco uses actually breaks down some of the stuff that causes Alzheimer's, which I found very interesting.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, and Sean, your joke is appreciated.
I'm not talking to that asshole. What did he say?
He said, I will never eat a carb again. Thank you again, Amy, for your exact specific medical advice tailored for my health. Parens, this is a joke.
Nice. But no, I mean, as far as this stuff goes, I mean, this is stuff that we've always known. And the reason why I think the reason they were able to get away with the whole carb heavy thing for so long is because we used to be a much more active society than we are now. So we were able to burn carbs a lot quicker. Because carbs are great for energy. They're good. They're good for quick release. But now that almost everybody works in a sedentary position, that's why you see people. I mean, I used to chase bad guys for a living. Now I sit in a chair. I went from 190 pounds to, oh my God, in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't have a picture.
It changed the technology and this sort of sedentary work lifestyle that we have absolutely changes things, and you have to make a conscious effort to change that. I usually, when I'm not doing this, write and work from my gym, and then I go work out just so that I can keep losing weight and keep, improving my health. But it's really, really hard.
Damn, listen to you making me tired from here.
It's not easy. Like I said, I was so glad when we were doing this today, because I said I can stay home and not go to the gym and work out. So Fridays are going to be my rest day.
Nice. Hey, at least it's working out. But I mean, so just with this stuff, I will say this, because the other thing that has changed is when you and I, when most of us, other than BZ, because he's a little bit older than us, but not a lot. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or nothing. But
Go ahead.
when we were kids, even the shit at McDonald's was healthier than it is now.
Yeah.
I remember, and that's the thing that I struggled with, as a kid. My parents fed me junk food from McDonald's or some places once in a while, but not that often, because, going out to eat or getting something even from a drive-thru and bringing it home was kind of a luxury, because, lower middle class at one point, and then went on, government cheese for a while. But still, it was hard, having kids and going, well, it was good enough for me when I ate it. But then I started, as my kids got older, I started looking at the differences in the ingredients for stuff from when I was a kid versus now. And Stacy, when we were doing a morning show together way back in the day, made an interesting discovery. So all the folks that left, like Philip Morris after tobacco started dying, went to work in junk food.
Oh, there's
And
a shocker.
Really?
you can find a lot of the same addictive things they were adding into the tobacco is now being added to our junk food.
And then their sons and daughters went to social media.
Right.
Right,
But,
right.
so it's just it's insane to me. But one of the things that I like about this approach, and I'm hoping it works, is one. It seems like they've gotten all the lobbyists out of the food business. At least the government's not paying attention to them right now, which is kind of amazing. And two, this should actually help some of the pricing with the better stuff, because this means that the school lunch programs and the military meal programs and everything else are going to start having better access to higher quality protein, etc. At least in theory. So
Right.
it should hopefully help folks that, well, I buy this stuff because it's shelf stable longer and it's cheaper. It should hopefully slowly start bringing it into that argument, because we really do need to eat healthier. I will say this: before I retired and kind of went on more of a fixed income, I was eating a lot better than I am now, and I've put on another 15 pounds again because I
Mhm.
keep buying the cheap shit. Because
G
it's
Rooster in chat said eggs and coffee are going to cure the cancer caused by eggs and coffee.
eggs and coffee. Yes,
Mhm, mhm.
but
Yeah.
I mean
Mhm.
that's just it.
Pretty much. I'm just staying silent here myself because I got a metabolism like a damn Fiat on high
I did
idle,
too
so
until I
don't count.
until I had my first kid, and then all of a sudden it was like dad bod mode engaged. I used to be able to eat everything. Like back in the day when Golden Corral was $5 for all you could eat, I could go in there and eat 10 plates. I'm not even exaggerating. Everybody else would be done, and I'd be going back for like plate 5, 6, 7. They're like, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, "No, I'm still going."
I have
Oh yeah, I can make a buffet my
I have
bitch.
three, well, 2 teenage boys and one who will be oh my gosh, he will be a teenager in May. I get it. They can eat. Believe me. There was a point before my older son lost a lot of weight where he would go through a gallon of milk a day by himself.
What?
Yeah, well, milk up here. I know other places in the country milk is not as cheap as it is here, but we basically have cows on every corner, so we get milk all the time. And just the amount of food that my kids can eat. My youngest ate 2 whole cucumbers for dinner the other night and 2 chicken breasts and was like, "I'm still hungry." Okay, where did you put it?
Why are you defaming your hookers like that?
I had a partner in robbery together. The guy's name was Danny, and I typified him as a ferret on crank. He had 2 damn speeds, on and off, and he was the worst violator of presence whatsoever. When Dan would talk to you, you could put probably a piece of paper in between the 2 noses. He was a huge space violator. He couldn't talk to you unless it was right in your damn face.
Personal bubble, man. Personal bubble.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Right. Oh gosh.
But so apparently, and again, I have never up until this week used this phrase unironically. I kind of feel like when it comes to Venezuela, Trump may in fact be playing 4D chess. And
Okay.
I have never said that unironically before. Because this is like, I mean, to put it in another context, since a lot of this was more about China than everything else, this is like flipping the entire game of Go with one move.
Because it leads so many other places.
Well, that's just it. I mean, they snatched him while a Chinese delegation was there. They not only that, but they basically proved that China's radar technology is shit. Now you've got one of Maduro's guards going, "Never fuck with America, dude." There were like 20. They killed 300 of us, and then they used some sound device that made us all want to fucking puke. And I'm just like, and he's like, "Yeah, there were 20 of them with 20 guns, and they killed like 300 of us and made the rest of us pass out. Don't fuck with America."
Well, the thing is, they weren't really his guards because most of them are from Cuba.
Yeah,
Well,
32 of at least 32 of them were.
Yep.
Because he didn't trust his own people, because that's how much they hate Maduro in Venezuela, and yet the Democrats are defending him.
Right, right. Well, when your country has a 70% plus poverty rate and you're eating zoo animals, you're not going to look too kindly on the guy in charge. So,
But yeah, I saw that story break today, and I was like, it actually came out right as I was ending my morning show, or morning-ish show. And I was like, damn it, I wish I'd have had that earlier. Because, yeah, this dude is like, just don't even mess with America, man. You don't know what they can do.
right. Well, it wouldn't have happened under Biden. Biden put up the $25 million bounty for Maduro and just went, not going to do anything about it.
Well, it wasn't just that he put it up. The bounty was out first, and then on the way out the door, because everybody, all of his, all the Democrats were yelling that nothing got done with Maduro. He's like, "Oh, we'll just up the bounty on the way out the door. Somebody will take care of it," and they didn't.
Yeah, who did they expect to take care of it? Like,
well, shit, I remember joking around with Sean whenever they upped it to 25 million. I'm like, I got one more mission in me. You got one.
yeah, right. That was a missed opportunity, actually. Like, we could have all A-teamed that shit and made bank.
Would have been fun to try. I mean, I would have been like coughing and wheezing the entire time, but it would have been fun to try. I am not in kick down doors and chase bad guys shape anymore. I kind of wish I was. I feel like
I would have been watching you from afar on the internet. Go, Rick, go.
You'd have been our tech guy in the van.
Yeah.
Oh,
live
right,
streaming it.
right. Me tech.
Hey, I'm trying to include you, so you got a cut, man. Just go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there would have been somebody else running the tech, but they would have never known that. So,
right. Shh.
Shh. They don't have to know.
I would have had Sean over my shoulder running the tech. Shh, don't tell that to him.
Oh no, he already throws you under the bus quite often, my friend. Oh, all right. So, I think we've covered the shooting incident quite sufficiently. Unless there's another big want to talk about, where you want to go next, if nobody has any final thoughts on that one.
I do not have any final thoughts on that one at all.
It's a work in progress.
How about the coverage of the fraud going on in Minnesota? Because this has been amazing.
It is breathtaking. And one of the things I covered for Town Hall about a month ago was at least one man that we know of died because of the Medicaid fraud, because one of these Somali fraudster companies was supposed to go in and do 12 hours of service a day. The guy had issues with psych and drug addictions, and he was trying to get his life better. He was living on his own, independent, needed this help. They were billing the state for 12 hours a day of service, and they were coming maybe an hour, and the guy was found dead. And as a healthcare professional, my first thought goes to how many other people have died because of this and that we don't know about. And earlier I saw Rep. Tim Burchett said that the money that was going from Minnesota for this fraud to the Somali terror group Al-Shabaab was also getting funneled from them to Iran. So good work all around, Tim Walz. We're actually, the Minnesota taxpayers and the rest of us, because that's federal money too. We're literally funding terror in Iran.
Well, this is where I had to laugh when people were trying to play the race cards. Like, don't you dare call it a Somali scandal. It's like, well, these are Somalians doing it, sending it to Somalia and sending it to Somalia terror groups. Sure sounds like a Somalia scandal.
Right. Like 90% of the people arrested are Somalian. Pointing out this very real fact does not make one racist. And in fairness, the ringleader of the Feeding Our Future scandal was a white woman named Amy. So
wait.
But they found out that this has taken place, I think, in Ohio. It's taken place in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And each time, these are the Somalia community members committing the fraud. I mean, it's basically cooked into their whole network.
Oh, it goes all the way up to the Somali government.
Somalians are doing this in multiple states.
Right. It goes all the way up to the Somali government.
There are what content is, though. Let's be honest. I mean, these people, and they are 90% of it. But if you take 90% of the $10 billion that we know of that they've built from us so far, and I guarantee you that number's higher, that's 2/3 of Somali's entire GDP for each.
Right. And like I said, it goes all the way up to the actual Somali government. Their UN ambassador and members of their government have ownership in healthcare companies. I believe one was in Minnesota and one was in Ohio. Their government is literally scamming us, and Tim Walz and Mike DeWine, we can't let him off the hook, are like, that's just the cost of doing business. And they shrug their shoulders. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
I mean, I'm struck by the press and their complete abject disinterest in looking into the story. They are tearing Nick Shirley to shreds right now because he did their job. He went in there and found all this directly, and all their energy is about disproving him as opposed to investigating the actual story.
Because the actual story makes Democrats look bad, and they don't want to be perceived as racist. There's this mentality on the left, and we see it here in America, but we see it even more in the UK with their leftists. fraud, rape, murder, terrorism, all of that is bad, but being a racist or being even perceived as racist they consider that a worse crime. And it's just breathtaking. And the media will run cover for them because that's what they do. And that money is not just going to terror groups. That money is not just buying Somalis nice cars and big homes. That money is getting kicked back to the Democrat coffers. And other people have floated this theory, and I tend to agree with it. Because there's no other way. When Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz as her running mate over, I know why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro, even who would have been a better choice, because the left-wing base wouldn't have tolerated a Jewish candidate. And she said herself she didn't pick Buttigieg because he was gay. It made no sense why she picked Tim Walz until all this fraud stuff started coming out. And the fact that Tim Walz not only knew about it, but was punishing whistleblowers. I would argue there's a case to be made. She picked him precisely because of the fraud. Yeah. She spent $1.5 billion in 100 days? She needed access to that money. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that there's not something there that would be worth looking into.
As everyone else on this panel can tell you, I am a firm believer that there's actually no such thing as a coincidence. So there's probably, if there's smoke there, there's probably fire. Just saying.
Because there's no other there's no other logical explanation that she picked him. She could have picked Bashir. She could have picked she could have picked anybody else, and she picked Tim Walz. It just is raising all the red flags.
Once this started to break open, I was pretty convinced that he was only chosen for the money, because this is so widespread. The media is not looking into this. I'll give credit to News Nation because they have sent people in there. Because basically CNN called a couple people up and was like, did you commit fraud? Oh, no, we didn't.
No,
there's the proof right there. They didn't do it. Well, News Nation went in. They found a warehouse that's unoccupied, and they said no fewer than 60 child care centers were registered to that loan address.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I mean, that right there should be enough. When Shirley went to, a dozen or so of these places, everybody in the press rushed into one location, like, see, they've been closed for a week. This entire report of his is bogus. And it's like, well, wait a second. The next day, kids are showing up at this location. And the next day, they went out and fixed the sign that was misspelled for a couple of years.
The Quality Leering Center, everybody's favorite daycare.
With that kind of turnaround, though, it's like, if place is closed, why is it suddenly operational and suddenly fixing the sign? That should spark the journalists to go say, wait a second, let's look into this matter. No, instead they put, how dare he do that?
Yep. Nope. Iowa Hawk blog said it many years ago. Journalism is about covering the important stories with a pillow until they stop moving.
Well, I will say this. Whoever graduated from that Leering Center could probably win a staring contest. No issues.
Yeah.
Well, as people are finally starting to realize it's all about GAUPs. I call them GAUPs, guilty, overeducated white people. Articles are coming out now. I saw one in Fox News. White guilt, apathy, fuel massive corruption in Minnesota. Hello, Captain Obvious. Duh.
Yeah, one of there's a group of DHS whistleblowers from Minnesota who obviously in the title whistleblowers, and talked about this. And part of the reason why officials looked the other way is because the Somali community said, we'll go to the media and we'll accuse you of being racist. And I don't okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
That the race card never worked on me because I know I'm not a racist. So you can call me racist all you want, but this notion that, oh God, we can't let somebody think we're racist. Okay, race has nothing to do with it. Tim Walz is white. The Amy that got busted with the Feeding Our Future program is white. Mike DeWine is white. I want them all to get punished. I want them all to go to prison because they all had a hand in this fraud. The fact that most of them happen to be Somali, well,
that's the thing.
Sucks. Go ahead.
So yeah, I had somebody a week or so ago said, well, if these were a bunch of white Russian people, then you wouldn't be upset about it. It's like, if they're white Russian people committing fraud, deport them. There you go.
Right.
Or if they're residents, arrest them. I have no problem with it.
And they point to, well, there was all this fraud in Mississippi, and Brett Favre, tying it back to Green Bay, Brett Favre was involved. Yeah, Brett Favre didn't know it was fraud. He paid back the money. the former head of the DHS in Mississippi is in prison for 32 years, and that's just on the state charges. There's a trial coming up for another guy who's the only guy who's decided not to plead not guilty. He's going to be held accountable too. So this notion that, oh, why didn't you guys complain about Mississippi? Because they're being held accountable. Because the fraud stopped. And it was okay. Now I'm not saying, like, don't be wrong, 77 million is a lot of money. I would gladly take even a portion of that. But we're talking 77 million to at least 9 billion. And now it makes me wonder how much of our national deficit is all because of fraud. How much of the problems we're having with Medicare, Social Security, how much of that is fraud? If we could get rid of this fraud, I'm guessing a lot of those programs would be solvent. And this notion that we can't address fraud because it's racist. Okay, so then what happens when the systems collapse because you guys refuse to address fraud? Well, your grandma's not going to get any money and she's going to starve to death, but at least we weren't racist. The mentality is just maddening.
But why aren't we asking? The logical question is, what percentile of our deficit is from fraud and corruption on so many damn levels?
Well, that's the question that needs to be asked, because I bet it's a lot. Elon Musk even said that when he first started Doge. He said that he bets a lot of the deficit is based on fraud, and I would not be surprised if most of it, like I wouldn't be surprised if it was half. Maybe I'm being overestimating that, but it would not surprise. I wouldn't blink an eye if they told me it was half, and I probably wouldn't blink an eye if it was more than half.
But where is our media police force? You know, I said this in my media podcast at Red State for my last episode. For the overview of 2025, I called it the year of 80-20 in the media because they opposed so many common sense issues on the 20 side. And one of them, to kick off the year, was government fraud and government waste. And when Doge came in to get rid of that, look at the wailing that took place in the media. How dare you get rid of fraud? I mean, it was absolutely asinine.
Mm-hmm. Right, because they were all benefiting from it.
Well, undoubtedly. I mean, they found out Politico was, pocketing how many millions of dollars because of mandated subscriptions in government offices.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so wasn't it the New York Times or the Washington Post? And
there were a few of them that had, basically taxpayer money paying for their subscription services. I mean, they even said it went as far as like the National Park Service. They had park rangers that were getting subscriptions to Politico.
Okay.
Like, why?
Well, I mean, so all of this, and Rooster just brought up a great point in the chat. He's like, how many people were doing this on a small enough scale for how long that they never got noticed?
Oh, for everyone that we know about, probably 10 at least. I was going to bring up that question, so I'm glad you got to it. But I'm sure that there were a lot of them and they got away with it.
But see, did you guys not love where Bessent said something like, if you're on public assistance, welfare, blah, 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 we're going to start pushing that you cannot wire money out of the country.
Excellent. Thank you. And Florida was going to do something similar where you can't wire money out of the country. You can't get a checking account. You can't do all of these things if you are here. And I'm like, that's exactly what you need to do.
A long ass time ago.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to make it so difficult to be here illegally that they don't want to be here illegally. If you're not going to deport them or you can't deport them, make them self-deport. Bye-bye.
Well, the press here in Florida was even fighting against that because DeSantis set up his own version of Doge here in the state, and he called it the Florida Accountability Financial Office, or FAFO. Hilarious. And then one of the news network comes out and said, this is racist.
For crying out loud.
Wait, what? How's an acronym racist? Oh, the Proud Boys used to use that a few years ago.
Okay, the Proud Boys wear pants. So pants are racist. The Proud Boys drink water. Drinking water is racist. That argument is so worn out. I'm sick and tired of it.
A few years ago, they used to all wear Hawaiian shirts too. So I'm a white supremacist.
Right. I literally have a Hawaiian shirt hanging in my closet. Like,
I love Hawaiian shirts. They're usually really soft.
They are fun.
Did I know you were a Nazi, Rick?
At one time, you extended your arm waving hello to somebody. So that you're a clear racist.
Mm-hmm. Right. When Catholic Mass, every once in a while we'll do like these communal blessings things where they say, raise your hand for the blessing. kind of looks like a Nazi salute. So hey, let's smear all Catholics as Nazis, like this double standard. And then what's his name? Mamdani in New York did the exact same gesture that Elon Musk did at a rally. Oh, he was just waving at the crowd, but Elon Musk is the next Gables. Okay.
It's
All
so
right.
obvious.
So,
it's so
so
transparent.
not to go backwards, but I want to put something on the screen real quick because somebody
Sure.
just did something that I think was absolutely amazing. So hang on. So this is the last frame right before Chica accelerated towards the ICE agent.
Mhm.
And hang on. There we go. She's looking right at him and smiling.
Yes, that's
from-
not a woman. That's from his perspective. That is not a woman that is afraid of anything. That is a woman who thinks she is above the law and
Well,
who
that is
knows
also-
exactly what she's going to do.
Well, that is also a woman who seems to not have an issue with the fact that she can plainly see that a law enforcement officer is standing right in front of her car as she
Right.
grabs it.
Mhm. Yeah, she had no qualms about hitting that gas pedal knowing he was in front of the car. If she had run him over, she probably would have considered that a win.
Yo,
Well, what's clear is they were doing the performative script of all of these activists is that they'll sit there and provoke for an hour. And as soon as they get any kind of a confrontational reaction, they capture 30 seconds on video.
Right.
And that's what gets splashed out. You don't get them cursing and throwing stuff
No.
at ICE agents for 60 minutes. You get 30-second reaction and then they're demonized.
Yep. And then they can play the victim. They can use those tears, those white liberal woman tears that are bad in some cases, to play the victim.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, though. Anybody who's raised teenagers understands that that's how all this shit works because your kids never notice you trying to steer them in the right direction until they've pushed your button so much that you sound like a fucking drill sergeant. Then they notice. And that's kind of what everybody's seeing with these folks is they're acting like, I mean, and I said this on a bunch of shows that I've done since I've come back when all this started breaking. These people, this is what happens when the participation trophy generation meets the world actually has natural consequences generation.
Yeah. And those natural consequences, like the reality of the world is going to win no matter how hard you push. I say it all the time with the trans thing. I'm a woman, but I have a penis. You can't pretend otherwise. No, reality says that's not true. And eventually reality is going to win.
Well, what did she think was going to happen? The chick in the 4,300 pound SUV. She was doing that to ICE activities all day. She inserted herself into all that stuff, blocked road from ICE vehicles. She was considered the prototypical anti-ICE warrior. She was radicalized. This is the thing that kills me. She was radicalized by her son's woke private school. Her son
That's
was
just
6.
hilarious.
Yes, it
Her
is.
son was 6. So what the hell school do you put your 6-year-old into when you become radicalized from, I'm guessing, another parent that was in that school? Trump gets voted in. She goes to Canada and then comes back and decides that Minneapolis apparently is the central locus of all good things from which she must work.
I think I had a light bulb moment while you were talking and what she was thinking. I honestly think she was prescribed to the leftist notion that she has white privilege and the cops won't shoot her because she's not a black woman. I think she never in her mind did she think that the cops would pull a gun on her because of her race and her privilege. I honestly think that may have been her mentality.
I
It certainly
believe that to
seems
be
to.
true.
It certainly
That's a
seemed
ve-
like her wife thought that way because drive, baby, drive. Like, I think they really believed our white privilege will protect us. And I'm not saying that I'm using the left's logic against them, where the cops only shoot black people because we have white privilege. That's not true. But I think that may have been what her thinking was, that they'll never shoot me because I'm a white woman.
Yeah, that's their philosophy.
And I'm a big believer in holding the left to their own standards.
Oh, all the time.
Well, I mean,
I do that with the
Yeah.
media.
Somebody
That's what
do.
I get people pissed off all the time.
Oh,
when
they
say that.
they hate it when they're held to their own
Well,
standards.
these are your laws. This is how you operate, and
Mm.
therefore it has to be the case. Usually I get blocked.
Yeah, usually. And we're talking that I'm kind of segue into something else I wanted to bring up on this. Sia, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, and I honestly don't care. Weaver, she's the tenant advisor for Zoran Mondavi in New York. She was in the news this week, and I wrote quite a bit about her because not only is she lily white, she believes gentrification is bad. She lives in Crown Heights. And for those of you that don't know New York, she's the gentrifier here. She wants to take away private property. She said from people of color, but mainly from white people. She wants to devalue property, especially in New York, so the government can take it over and everybody can live in government-run housing. And it turns out her mommy owns a $1.6 million tool of white supremacy just outside of Nashville.
And then she cries.
Right.
I don't wanna be confronted with my hypocrisy.
Yeah, and don't believe for a second that those tears are real, because I don't. And they're not, because she wants to, once again, play the victim. I didn't really mean those things I wrote a few years ago when I was a full-fledged adult. I really didn't mean that we should steal property from people and devalue property to ruin the property market, because I don't believe we should own private property. She is going to play the victim. And Zoran Mondavi is completely aligned with her views. In fact, I saw a video of him visiting a capitalist run, according to his socialist buddies, apartment building where the floor was falling apart and the building was a disgusting mess. Nope, it was owned by the New York Housing Authority. I can tell you that when I worked as a home hospice nurse, I had to go to city-run apartments many, many times. They are dark, they are dirty, they are infested with bugs, they are run down, and nothing ever gets fixed. And that's what they want for all of us.
No.
While her mom still owns a $1.6 million home in Tennessee. Sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Anyway, I want to say
Well, I mean, just look at the
say hi
plan.
to everybody in the chat. I would put your comments on stream, but I had a technical issue like right as we were halfway through the first hour, and since then I haven't been able to do that. So I'm just glad we're still running, because I don't know what happened.
All right, well, let's not rock that boat.
But anyway, so
don't break it.
Final thing I really want to touch on, and that's because of all the different tendrils of the Venezuela thing. We've kind of gone into it a little bit, but one of the things that, and this is why I'm surprised none of the right-leaning people that I know have been giving leftists crap over this, because you know how they're always telling us that we stole the land from the natives here?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to forget that up until the last guy before Maduro, we actually had most of the mineral rights in Venezuela. So we really just went back in and recaptured stuff that was stolen from us.
Yes, we did. We owned the oil too. Like the oil rigs, that was all our infrastructure. And then when the commies took over, oh, nope, it's ours now.
Yeah, no problem. $8 billion plus stolen from ConocoPhillips, et cetera, under contract that was signed by Venezuela contracts paper.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because nobody really thought about this fact, because at the time that we were securing most of those rights, the only thing we really knew that was in the ground there was oil. But we have legally, now that we're being allowed back in, and those things are still considered valid, guess what? Venezuela has a lot of the things that we've been going to China for. And we now own
Yeah.
Hello, world.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if this is just because, Amish had a great saying for most of Trump's first term. He's basically the Leslie Nielsen of presidents, because even if it seems like he doesn't know what he's doing, he could back into something and it came out in his favor. So I don't know if that's what's happening with Venezuela, or if he's finally figuring things out, because this is a domino that if it falls the right way, and if we can hold on to the momentum we've got going here, the rest of the world is going to change. I mean, one of the things I'm going to be, I think I'm going to actually forego Kingdom and Country this Sunday, because I'm going to put together an hour-long special on what's going on in Iran, because almost nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah, because nobody wants to cover it. There's no, they cut off the internet. I know Musk has Starlink up and running, but it's very limited right now. And that also is huge, because last night the people were not far from the city center. They were basically on the Iranian equivalent of the National Mall, like within sight of wherever apparently the Ayatollah is hiding. And Iran this needs to happen. It needs to happen, because Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. It needs to fall. And I really hope it does, because they tried it.
It's 1978 in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they tried it under Obama. They tried it under Biden. And both times those movements kind of fizzled out because,
Well, no, they shipped cash to the corrupt government.
I was going to say that was more of kind of like a surface thing, so it looked good for optics, and they were hoping nobody would notice the pallets of cash they were actually shipping them. So kind of like Biden upping the bounty on the way out the door. See, I did actually try to do something about Maduro, and I want to point out that Sean is a quitter because I couldn't notice it before, but I said, and I quote, "I do and cannot have one more in me." So yeah, we couldn't have split $5 million 3 ways anyway. Quitter bastard. But no. But yeah, I mean, so look at what's happening with Cuba now. Cuba was cash strapped and dependent on Venezuela. That's now been cut off. A good portion of China's oil is now gone. So a lot of their saber rattling and the whole military game stuff they've been doing to try to keep Taiwan on edge. Guess what? You can't really do very much of if you're losing a good portion of your oil.
Yep.
Iran was heavily invested in Venezuela. Venezuela owes China billions and millions of dollars at this point that if Trump has his way, they'll never repay. So, I mean, this is just one of those things where it turned into just this one domino that if it falls right, the entire world could change. And I don't know how long it will change, but I have a feeling that it actually might.
I think so too.
Rolls are everywhere. That's what makes it all so cool. It is truly like 3D chess.
Yes.
Thanks, Spock.
Yeah, I absolutely think that this was intentional and deliberate, and I think a lot of it was Rubio, because I've seen this float around on Twitter quite a bit. Like Rubio's entire goal is to fix Cuba and to topple the communist regime in Cuba, and I think this is part of that bigger game of kneecapping all of these world powers, and eventually Cuba will have to fall because they were so tied to Venezuela. They lost at least 32 of their guys, which, okay, I'm not going to shed any tears for the commies, but
bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, no, they tried to do the sympathy route. They said, here's one of the men in Venezuela who was killed who has 3 children. It's like, great, they're back in Cuba. What's he doing in the palace in Venezuela?
Right. And like I've pointed out, like we saw it with Charlie Kirk. We saw I'm a mom of 3. I get offed by an illegal immigrant tomorrow. Nobody's going to bat, like the same people complaining about this. They're not going to bat an eye. Some of them might even cheer because I know I've ticked off a few people in my time. But he was there. He made his choice. You know, parents die, get killed, get separated from their families all the time. It's not special in any, it's sad that their kids lost their dad, but he made his choice, just like in Minneapolis.
All right. Well, guys, I hate to cut it short, but I'm running into time frames where I got to start figuring out stuff for dinner. So unless you've got any final thoughts, we're going to start moving into favorite story, favorite segment time of the show.
All right.
So
yeah, I got to duck out myself.
Yeah. So we'll start with Brad since he's already making noise about having to leave. Pick your favorite child, sir.
Let's see. We were talking about Mamdani. This one cracked me up this week where he came out and complained about the cost of World Cup tickets this summer. And he's going to fix it. He's going to make it affordable for all New Yorkers and have ticket prices set at some level of like $60 instead of hundreds of dollars. And it's like a couple of problems here, mommy. One, you don't have any power over this. It's a private enterprise. 2, I don't know the exact number of millions of people in New York City, but the stadium only holds 82,000. Right. So you're going to run into a little bit of an issue there. Oh, and the game's being played in New Jersey where you have 0 jurisdiction. So,
well, you know,
this is just
that's the thing about
emblematic of just how they think. Anything that exists in the world that's a problem, government has to rush in and do something about it because he's a communist. Yes, I said it. Even though Abby Phillip and others at CNN will say, well, that's a triggering word.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, accuracy triggers you, but that's the case.
I'm pretty triggered that the son of a bitch won the election. Next question.
Well, in fairness, they didn't really give New Yorkers, they gave him Cuomo, Sliwa, who I like, just who didn't have a chance in that race. They went with the guy that they didn't know. And they're going to learn, but And Mamdani has no idea how the world works. He thinks he can snap his fingers.
Well, at
and
his inauguration party, they had no food available for anybody, and they didn't even get
No
portable
toities.
toilets out at the public event.
there's no better picture of socialism than his inauguration party.
Just go on
Sorry.
the lawn.
Well, that's
I
what they
mean,
do in
give me
San
a break.
Francisco.
That they didn't.
Nice. But yeah, no.
If only people had said something about that ahead
Well,
of
so
time.
the thing about it is because everybody's like, oh my God, the midterms are probably going to be horrible for us because of history. I'm not so sure now because we're going to have enough time for everybody to see exactly what happens when New York turns communist. So I think that's one of those things that I've been saying now for a while. It's time for voters to start actually getting what they vote for.
Uh-huh.
Because they'll know
Bingo.
whether or not. And that's the thing. Us on the right, we always scream and yell about how we don't want nanny states, but then we have every right-leaning politician in the world trying to be nanny staters to left-wing folks. And I'm like, just let them get what they vote for. Eventually they'll learn their lesson.
Right. And I feel bad for the 50% of New Yorkers that didn't vote for Mamdani. But I tend to agree. And I tend to agree. I don't think the midterms, and we'll have to cover this in another episode, but the midterms aren't going to be as big of a bloodbath as some people were predicting for a variety of reasons.
Well, especially if everything comes to pass with our oil companies and mineral companies getting to go start building shit up in Venezuela. Our economy is going to be roaring soon. If this
Gas is below $2 in several states, not in Wisconsin yet, but in several states. And that's going to snowball into food and everything else. And things are going to improve. And that's the big issue. And it's not one that I've seen the Democrats really pounding on since things have started to get better. They've doubled down on the DEI, anti-ICE insanity. That's not going to play well for them in the midterms.
Yeah, you'll notice since egg prices dropped by $4 a dozen, they're not really talking about.
Oh yeah, crickets, absolute crickets.
They haven't said anything about unaffordability since before the new year. But all right, so Amy, you up next. Favorite child of the week.
My favorite child of the week is a story I wrote about Planet Fitness because I've been pounding that one. Nope, that was a bad choice of words.
Ooh.
Yeah, bad choice of words. I don't know if you guys saw the story, but earlier this week, a guy was caught pleasuring himself in the women's bathroom of a Planet Fitness, and when confronted, said, "I identify as a woman. You can't kick me out." And Planet Fitness came out and said, "Yep."
I don't think I've ever had to play this on this show before, but we do have rules. Giggity goo.
And Planet Fitness came out and said that this discomfort of a patron is not reason to deny access to a transgender member. Ladies, don't go to Planet Fitness. Cancel your membership. Tell them you want to be protected. It's part of why I don't go to Planet Fitness. There's literally one walking distance from my house. I drive 20 minutes to a gym where I know if I go in the locker room, I'm not going to get exposed to that. That was my child of the week, because this notion that women have to be uncomfortable so that delusional men can fulfill their fetish, and that's what it is, has to stop. It absolutely has to stop.
Oh, all right. So BZ, I know you don't. I don't know. Have you been contributing over at SHR at all? Do you have a story to contribute? If not, we can go with favorite segment of the week.
I have a generality, and the generality is this: everything's not bad. Everything's not falling apart. There's like SCOTUS, okay, transgender athlete case coming up, SCOTUS, and also tariffs case coming up, SCOTUS. I don't think that could necessarily go bad. I don't think that's necessarily a huge impending chinchilla doom thing. House Oversight GOP threatens to hold Clintons in contempt. I don't think that's necessarily so bad. Also, Trump, let's see, moved to ban big investors from buying single family homes like BlackRock and Vanguard. My story of the week is all these stories. Everything is not doom. Yeah, in leftist urban rat cages, they are. But in general, there's a lot of good stuff happening too.
Well, and the other side of the argument on that is I hear everybody, which I don't really know how I feel about government trying to regulate business, but that we'll get into that another time. But at the same time, everybody who's like, this isn't the big deal that Trump's making it out to be, because they only have like 2 to 3% of the housing market. Have you looked in some of the cities where they have upwards of 30%? And then you wonder why nobody can afford a house anymore? Because yeah, I'm just saying. So yeah, that is kind of a big deal. As far as for me, I have unfortunately again not managed to put anything out for Twitchy for the last few weeks. So I think my favorite coverage of the week has to be being able to be live on the air while the leftist narrative about this shooting just has absolutely loaded. Not that they're going to care, because I've already seen one of the Krasenstein brothers going, "Here, look, here's his cell phone footage, and it proves that she was trying to turn away from him."
Right. Oh, the official Democrat Twitter account posted an image from that video, and it said, "Newly released footage reveals Renee Nicole Good's last words. That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Gunshots, fucking bitch." Like, oh wow, the absolute spin on this narrative. Absolutely, like the Democrats are despicable. Absolutely despicable.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that have watched the video with us, that literally makes it sound like he shot her in the face while he was standing at her door.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
And that's not what happened.
Hoisted on the video petard of their own creation.
Well, that's just it. They're not going to care.
No, they don't. They don't care. They don't care. But that's also why they're clamoring like crazy to send. You imagine if Elon hadn't bought Twitter for all of the hiccups that it's had since he took over, we would not have seen these videos. We would not know about the Somali fraud. We would not know half of what was going on. And I don't know. I honestly don't know if Trump would have won the election.
Yeah, no, I don't think he would have. And trust me, there are plenty of things about Elon and X that I have not been happy about. Like the fact that I still feel like, all the outrage mobs are the ones that still get all the attention on here. And I fucking hate that. I'm sitting here trying to be as neutral as possible and nobody sees my shit.
And the what he did to the private the DMs.
Oh God.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Especially on a desktop. The app on my phone, not so bad. The desktop, horrific.
Terrible.
But all right. So I think that's pretty much everything. I think I've got, so yeah, I got you, and I got me. All right. So I think that's going to do it for this one. Anybody got any final thoughts? Because like I said, I got to go start figuring out dinner.
Real quick, I'm going to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion. If you don't follow me on Twitter, if you don't know, I wrote a book. It published December 1st. It's called Gaslight: How the Democrat Party Lost Its Mind and Abuses Its Voters in the Process.
You should have told me. I could have had a QR code up.
I should have told you. We could have had a QR code up. Well, we'll do it. We'll plug it again next time because I definitely want to do this again. But if you go to Amazon and search Amy Curtis and Gaslight, it will pop up. I'd be so grateful if you would buy my book because I really want it to take off.
Nice. Yeah, trust me. I'll start helping you push that because I don't have an awesome book like that coming out, but I do have my first children's book coming out in February. So
awesome.
I'm hoping that takes off. I wrote one loosely based on one of my granddaughters. So.
Oh, that's very, very cool. Yeah, it was literally a labor of love. I started it in April, finished it in November, decided to self-publish because I wanted to get it out before the midterms. And it's all about what we talked about here, how the Democrats have lost their mind to the left and abused it, and not just abuse like America in general, but especially their voters. Renee Nicole Good is a very prime example of exactly my thesis in that book.
I just find it weird that her parents named her with the initials RNC. Or no, I guess it's RNG. Never mind.
But that's her. Isn't that her married name?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. If her maiden name is C, that would be really weird. All right, but yeah, go ahead and remind folks one more time where they can find you and what it is that you do, and then
you can find me on Twitter at Ranty Amy Curtis, but definitely go to Town Hall where I write at Amy Curtis. I write a ton of stuff every day, so check me out there. I really appreciate the support. I've been very, very happy doing what I'm doing.
And Brad, where can folks find you, sir?
Well, I'm likewise over at Town Hall as well as Red State. I'll just self-promote and say, click on my name at either site, and you're going to see a rendition of all my year-end compilation work on the media. I dispensed a number of awards and such for the worst performing journalist, and I capped it all off with my Town Hall 50, which is a list of the 50 worst examples of journalists last year. Always loved tearing into them with some knives and having fun doing it.
That's still a hard list to narrow down, though. I mean, 50 is kind of a low number for these folks. I'm just pointing that out.
Took time and took a lot of analysis, I'll say.
Yeah, I need to figure out a way to write a parody intro for you and just have it singing click my name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. BZ, where can folks find you, sir? And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Also, Amy, shameless self-aggrandization. If you ever want to come on the show and promote your book, you're certainly invited. BZ's Saloon, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, every Tuesday and Thursday night on the SHR Media Network at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern. Thanks.
I will absolutely take you up on that offer.
Thank you.
All right. And as far as for me, you can find me here in a couple hours hanging out with the lovely Aggie Reekin, now known as Aggie the Bar Babe, because she can't get her other account back. Because X is retarded. Right here on He Said, She Said, tomorrow night we have Juxtaposition. Sunday night we will be doing a Digital Beacon special news presentation covering the uprising in Iran, since nobody else seems to want to do it. If any of you guys want to come hang out while we do that, you are welcome. We'll talk about that more later. It's up to you guys. And then Monday night, I'll be back doing America Off the Rails. For everything else, just check our schedule, because I'm like involved in 80% of the content around here. So if I tell you everything I do, we'd be here all day. You can also find me as a contributor occasionally at twitchy.com, misfitspolitics.com. I also do occasionally write for theloftusparty.com and produce the Loftus Party podcast, which usually drops on Tuesdays. You can find everything we do radio related at KLRN Radio. You can find me at Radovich73. You can find our more news related stuff, which is still kind of spitting and sputtering because I've been working more on the label lately that I just launched, music label. Selfless promotion again. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. For those of you that have been on the fence regarding this shooting situation, I hope the cell phone footage has brought you some clarity. For the rest of you that have your heads so far shoved up your yes sirree bob that you can't see the forest for the trees, I'm not going to try to help you anymore. We're getting out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Friday, and thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Thank you.